They never put it in the textbooks. They never whispered it in classrooms. Because the most dangerous knowledge a human being can possess is not about weapons or war or poison. It is knowledge about the human mind, specifically your mind, and what it is silently capable of without your permission, without your awareness, and sometimes without your conscience. What I am about to tell you is not theory. It is not philosophy. It is the raw, unsettling, documented reality of human psychology, the dark side that most people spend their entire lives running from, never realizing they have been running from themselves. The field of dark psychology is not about villains. It is not about serial killers or shadowy manipulators. It is about every human being alive, including you and including me. It is about the hidden architecture of the mind, the mechanisms that operate beneath the surface of your daily awareness, shaping your decisions, your relationships, your fears, and your desires in ways you have never consciously chosen. And the first step to understanding them is admitting they exist. So let us begin. 6 things your mind is capable of that you never knew. 1, your mind can be manipulated without you ever knowing it happened. You believe you make your own choices. You believe your opinions are your own. Your preferences are your own. Your feelings are authentically yours. But dark psychology reveals a terrifying truth. The human mind is extraordinarily susceptible to influence it never detects. This is not weakness. This is anatomy. The technique is called covert persuasion. It works through repetition, emotional anchoring, and the careful engineering of your environment. When someone repeats a statement to you enough times, even a statement you initially doubt, your brain begins to encode it as familiar. And the brain equates familiarity with truth. This is called the illusory truth effect. And it is one of the most exploited mechanisms in human psychology. People around you, people with training and influence, can use mirroring, strategic framing, and emotional timing to guide you toward decisions you believe you arrived at freely. The most skillful manipulators never feel like manipulators. They feel like the most understanding, insightful people you have ever met. And by the time you realize what has happened, it has already happened. What should disturb you most is not that this is done to you. What should disturb you is how easily your mind accepts it, because your brain is wired to seek coherence, to resolve discomfort, and to trust what feels familiar. That wiring is not a flaw. It is the cost of having a brain built for community and survival. But it makes you vulnerable. And awareness is the only armor. 2, your mind is capable of erasing its own crimes. Every human being alive has done something they are not proud of, said something cruel, betrayed someone who trusted them, chose comfort over integrity. But here is the dark truth. Your mind is extraordinarily gifted at rewriting the past so that you remain the hero of your own story. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance reduction. When your actions contradict your self-image, your brain does not adjust your self-image. It adjusts your memory of the actions. It rationalizes. It minimizes. It reframes. It finds justifications so convincing that within months, sometimes weeks, you genuinely no longer remember what you did the way it actually happened. This is not lying to others. This is lying to yourself in a way so thorough and so organic that you no longer experience it as a lie. You experience it as the truth. You believe your own revised narrative with the full force of sincere conviction. This is why people who cause deep harm to others can sleep soundly. This is why abusers often genuinely believe they were the victims. This is why betrayal can be committed by people who consider themselves loyal. The mind is not only capable of wrongdoing, it is capable of making wrongdoing invisible to the person who committed it. And that is the darkest magic of all. Your mind can be trained to feel nothing, and you may have already started there. Is a condition in psychology known as emotional numbing. It is well documented in trauma survivors, in soldiers, in people who have endured prolonged stress or repeated loss. But what dark psychology reveals is that you do not need trauma to develop it. You can train yourself into it through ordinary everyday habits. Every time you scroll past suffering without feeling anything, you are practicing. Every time you suppress an emotion because it is inconvenient, you are practicing. Every time you choose distraction over reflection, entertainment over depth, noise over silence, you are rewiring the neural pathways responsible for empathy, for grief, for wonder, for love. The mind, like a muscle, becomes what it exercises. And the modern world is designed with frightening precision to keep you numb, because numb people are easier to sell to. Numb people are easier to govern. Numb people do not ask uncomfortable questions. They just consume. The terrifying capability your mind possesses is the ability to switch off its own humanity. Gradually, quietly, without a single dramatic moment, just a long sequence of small surrenders. And the most chilling part is that as it happens, you feel nothing. Because that is exactly the point. For your mind contains a shadow that acts without your consent. Carl Jung called it the shadow. It is not a metaphor. It is a psychological reality. The part of your mind that stores every impulse, desire, rage, envy, and shame you have rejected about yourself. Every quality you were told was unacceptable. Every emotion you were punished for expressing. Every dark thought you pushed away and refused to own. Here is what dark psychology tells us about that shadow. It does not disappear when you reject it. It goes underground. And from underground, it runs you. It appears in the sudden cruelty you cannot explain, in the irrational fury that erupts over something small, in the obsessive attraction to people who are wrong for you, in the sabotage you commit against your own success without understanding why, in the contempt you feel toward people who remind you of qualities you have disowned in yourself. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the unlived parts of you, compressed and pressurized by denial. And the more you deny it, the more power it accumulates. The people most convinced they are incapable of darkness are often the most dangerous, because their shadow has the most room to operate beneath their conscious awareness. Dark psychology does not ask you to indulge your shadow. It asks you to face it, to look at directly. Because the only way to stop being controlled by the parts of yourself you refuse to see is to see them. Your mind can turn love into a weapon and call it love. This is perhaps the most disturbing capability on this list, because it operates inside the most sacred human experiences. Dark psychology identifies a pattern called coercive attachment, the way the mind can transform love, which is meant to liberate, into a mechanism of control. It does not announce itself. It does not say, I am going to use your love against you. It says, I love you so much I cannot bear to lose you. It says, everything I do is because I care. It uses the language of devotion to justify possession. It uses the vocabulary of concern to enforce compliance. And because the emotion underneath is real or feels real, the person experiencing it is often the last to understand what they are actually doing. The mind is capable of weaponizing its deepest attachments, of turning protectiveness into surveillance, affection into debt, intimacy into leverage. And it can do this while the person genuinely believes they are acting out of love, while they are experiencing something that feels exactly like love. Because to a mind that has learned to confuse love with control, the two are indistinguishable. This is the quiet devastation of dark psychology at its most personal. The harm it enables is inseparable from the sincerity of the feeling. Understanding this does not excuse it, but not understanding it means it continues, generation after generation, dressed in the most innocent of clothes. 6, your mind is capable of extraordinary good. If you choose to look, I did not come here only to disturb you. I came here to tell you the complete truth. And the complete truth is this: the same mind that is capable of manipulation, self-deception, numbness, shadow behavior, and control, that exact same mind is also capable of something remarkable. It is capable of catching itself, of noticing, of choosing differently. The human mind, unlike any other system in the known universe, can examine its own operations and decide to change them. It can feel shame and use it as a compass rather than a wound. It can recognize the shadow and integrate it rather than act it out. It can feel the impulse toward control and choose connection instead. Dark psychology is not a manual for manipulation. For those who understand it truly, it is a mirror, and mirrors, when you have the courage to look into them honestly, are the beginning of every transformation that has ever mattered. You now know that your mind can be manipulated. So learn the mechanics of influence and become harder to deceive. You now know that your mind rewrites the past. So build the discipline of honest self-examination before the rewriting begins. You now know about the shadow. So look at it, name it, claim it as your own. You now know how love becomes control. So hold your attachments more consciously, more carefully, more humbly. The 6 things your mind is capable of that you did not know, they are not curses. They are not evidence of your brokenness. They are the terrain. And you cannot navigate terrain you refuse to look at. The most powerful thing about knowing the dark is this: the dark is only dangerous when it is hidden. Bring it into the light, and it becomes knowledge. Bring it into the light, and it becomes yours to work with, rather than something working invisibly against you. Your mind is not the enemy.
It is the instrument. And what you choose to play on it, that is entirely, terrifyingly, beautifully up to you. Know yourself. All of yourself. That is where it begins.